With this new tier 3 update this week, we get 35 new weapons, the majority of which will actually come from the reworked tier 1 field bosses. However, there are also a few from the new co-op dungeons with some added to the cryptic augmentation. So let's go through each and every one. We will start with the Greatswords. You have the simple resistance one coming from your open world dungeon, but then the updated Mordecai version. When you apply shock or stun, you have a 50% chance to deal 600 base damage, and this can chain up to 2 times to enemies within 10 meters, amplifying that damage by 50% for each chain. So a very powerful multi-target effect, probably very good in single target too. Then from the new Adentis, you have his upgraded Greatsword. When attacking with the Greatsword, you increase base damage by 0.4% per 1000 of current health, up to 36,000 health. So you can effectively gain 14.4% extra base damage, which is pretty good. Then within Sanctum of Desire, you have Juniboat. His Greatsword has the ability, when hitting an enemy at 50% health or lower, with the Greatsword skill, you'll increase shock and stun durations by 1.5 seconds, and disable item use for 3 seconds. That's the extra effect. I assume they will not be able to use their Purification Stone while under Juniboat's effect. Finally, you have the one from the new co-op dungeon with the ability on a heavy attack, 80% chance to silence the target for 5 seconds. This seems crazy powerful, but it does have a 15-second cooldown. Load of attributes with added attack speed. And I'm not sure if this is correct, but you can get like 17.5% attack speed trait on this one, or 17.5% heavy attack chance. This seems to be how they're doing it with a bit of a stat rework. Adentis has these traits, attack speed buff duration, and Mordecai these, cooldown attack speed, with Juniboat's cooldown and debuff duration. So this here is all the Greatswords we'll be getting for tier 3. You can of course extract these skill cores and use them on your legendary weapon if you wish. We will then have a look at the sword and shields. For some reason there are 6 different ones. You have the common resistance one, which has these traits. Then the one from Chernobog with the skill effect of using Annihilating Slash to have that chance to apply slows to up to 6 enemies, putting them to sleep for 6 seconds. But against players this duration is halved. 30-second cooldown. Seems kind of crazy for PvP. And it'll come with these traits. Then you have the one from Cornelius. On hit with Provoking Roar, you'll create an area explosion, dealing 400% of base damage, reducing shield block chance of targets, and you'll be able to get the traits like extra debuff duration and cooldown. And then we have the Nirma Sword and Shield being back. However, it will now just apply collision push to targets with shield strike. And you'll be able to get these special traits, cooldown and attack speed. We have another sword then from Azrael, simply giving you 100 damage reduction when you use shield survival techniques. And this comes with the traits, buff duration, cooldown, special ones. Finally, there's the one from the co-op dungeon. This has the ability when you're under the effect of prone from these certain abilities, you'll immediately cleanse most CC conditions and attack enemies within 3 meters of you for 100% of base damage, applying push to them. However, there's a cooldown of 2 minutes on it, and it can have the traits like debuff and attack speed. So that was all the sword and shields, a whopping 6 of them. We now go to the 4 daggers. You've got that regular resistance one. It can have these traits. With then the upgraded Minzarok dagger. On a hit, you can apply that curse, and now it will reduce the defense by 250. This is super good. You'll definitely want somebody in the group using it. I covered defense shred earlier, and it will come with these traits, like extra attack speed and buff duration. Then we have the daggers from Koazan. These will have the effect when attacking a target below 50%, you can increase your critical damage by 20% as long as it's nighttime. And if it's daytime, you'll increase your critical hit chance by 650 for 3 seconds. And it comes with the trait list of extra buff duration and attack speed. And then you have the dagger from the co-op dungeon. This right here with the effect on attack with Vampiric Strike, you have that 70% chance to deal fixed damage equal to 400% of base damage. Got a load of attributes and cooldown speed with the possible traits of extra cooldown speed and attack speed. And that's all 4 daggers. We now go to the 4 crossbows. First of all, you got that regular resistance one with these possible traits. You can then get the new one from Malachar. It has the simple effect of increasing base damage for all party members by 2.5% if they're within 16 meters. Another one you probably want to have in a team. Got that extra cooldown, mana cost efficiency, and the ability to have these traits. More cooldown and buff duration. Again from Koazan, you can get the crossbow. When attacking during the day, you'll increase your attack speed and bonus damage. And when attacking during the night, you'll reduce the target's movement speed and their damage reduction. And this can stack 15 times. So that's a nice 15% attack speed during the day. Just unfortunate, the nightmare mode is in nighttime. And it can come with the traits like attack speed and extra cooldown. And then you do have the co-op dungeon crossbows. Now this one doesn't have yet a properly translated skill bonus. However, looking at a rough translation, we can see it would be something like gain 25 stacks of soul harvest whenever an enemy you attack dies, and then each time you make a projectile attack you'll consume one of those stacks to fire an additional projectile. This just comes with then extra cooldown, attack speed, and the possibilities to have these traits. Then we move to the longbows. There are just 3 of them. Again, you have another resistance longbow with these possible traits, and from Grand Aelon you can get this new one. Upon using Nature's Blessing, you'll heal for 40% of base damage, plus 135 health per second for 6 seconds. Healing is doubled when it rains. So it's just something personal. But it does have plus 16% passive skill healing and 6.5% cooldown speed. This passive skill healing is what I would assume is that recovery healing. But I'm not fully sure, as these passives do say continuous health recovery. And if we look on our stat page, it doesn't look like we have any health recovery stats, so I would assume it's this one, the passive skill healing. But the description says it's healing from passive skills. So we need to look for some more clarity on that. But the Grand Aelon bow does have the possibility of these traits. And from the co-op dungeon, which should be added to the cryptic augmentation, is this new bow, with the effect of Witch Worshipper's Anathema. When you use Ensnaring Arrow, it changes to a location or / directional skill. And on hit, deals a bunch of damage, explodes after 3 seconds to bind enemies within 3 meters from that target, dealing the same damage. If the target is killed before the explosion, it will explode immediately. Bosses immune to the bind become oppressed instead. And it then has these possible traits: extra attack speed, mana cost efficiency. And that's all 3 bows. A little bit underwhelming. We then go to the staffs. There are 4 of them. Again, a simple resistance one with these traits. And looking at Talos, there'll be this updated staff. When stunned, you can trigger Petrification Freeze for 1 second to protect yourself with a 24-second cooldown. And it comes with these possible traits: extra buff duration and debuff duration. Then there's also the staff from Aradus. This one having also a base damage boost, but now 12%, so it will scale properly. But you have to still be stationary for 3 seconds, and it lasts for 2 seconds after you move. It's got extra attack speed, weaken chance, with the possible attributes of debuff duration and buff duration. As for the co-op dungeon staff, you have that just here. When you use Chain Salvation, it changes to Witch's Worshipper's Temptation. On skill hit, has an 80% chance to apply Fear, Seduction to the target, making that target follow the caster for 4 seconds, and increases PvP damage taken by 15%. So a bit of a debuff and control skill, but it won't stack with these certain specializations. It has the extra range of 14% with these possible traits here: cooldown, mana cost. And that's all 4 staffs. We then go to the wands. There are just 3 of them, with a regular resistance one, which comes with these traits. However, there's the field boss Excavator with an updated wand. When using swift healing on a target below 30% health, it applies a shield equal to 450% of base damage plus 1500. Cooldown 30 seconds. With the possible traits, special ones cooldown and attack speed. And there's also a co-op dungeon wand just here, but again, it does not have it fully translated just yet. If we attempt to translate it, it would be something like, when you use Touch of Despair, there's an 80% chance to reduce all received skill recovery by 99% for 2 seconds and apply a weakened effect that deals 200% of base damage whenever receiving a health recovery effect with a cooldown of 10 seconds. So it'd be like kind of converting your heals to damage abilities. This has bonus attack speed, mana cost, and the possible traits of attack speed and cooldown. But now we go to the spears. Again, there's just 3. You have a resistance spear with these possible traits. And then from Junoboat, we have a new spear. When using Bloodleech Aura, you'll create a flame zone that deals damage per second for 5 seconds to enemies within it, and targets create a flame zone of the same size, and it will apply Ignite on a critical hit. But it comes with these traits: extra attack speed and buff duration. And again, we have a new co-op dungeon spear with the effect on Predator skill hit, has 80% chance to weaken the target, which applies minus 600 to their melee defense for 3 seconds. That's actually super good. That will boost your damage significantly against them. Ton of attributes, extra cooldown, and the traits here of extra cooldown and attack speed. Finally, we go to the new orb weapons. They also get a resistance version with then these possible traits of max mana, mana cost efficiency. Nothing great here, but there will be an orb from Talos. But when you use Distortion Veil, you'll apply a 40% efficient Distortion Veil to the nearest ally without Distortion Veil. If there are no allies within 5 meters, it amplifies the efficiency of Distortion Veil on the target by 50%. This is your standard shield skill that you'll put on a target, which has a low cooldown, so you can simply maintain it all the time on one person. With extra buff duration and extra cooldown speed, you can probably maintain it on a few targets. But this orb has the traits of extra buff duration and mana cost efficiency. As for your co-op dungeon, you have this one right here. When you use Summon Constellation, this is like summoning orbs, the Milky Way skill can be used 1 more time within 6 seconds. And it comes with these traits: extra cooldown and attack speed. And that is pretty much all the tier 3 weapons. It can be interesting to quickly have a look at the new Archboss Orb weapons. There'll be one from Cordy with Cordy branches. It will boost your Guardian defense skill by 30% and has a chance to apply collision push to enemies within range and push them outside the range. And if strengthened with 2 or more orbs, it applies collision immunity to party members within range. Seems pretty decent for PvP. That Guardian ability right here is going to be your long cooldown but highly effective ability. Like completely protecting allies for a certain amount of hit points within an area, but yeah, will not stack with Blood Devo. And there is also a Tevent version, which you can upgrade to the Blazing Pupil, which we'll have a look at. Applies a consuming aura for 10 seconds to the first enemy hit with Star Destroyer, or the nearest enemy within 6 meters when Supernova Collapse is generated. And enemies within 3 meters of the aura's range have an 80% chance to receive damage equal to 90% of the base damage every 0.5 seconds, applying a weaken effect which increases debuff duration per stack by 12%. Seems a tad confusing, and we can't really determine right now without further study on the orb abilities as to how effective that would be. So thanks all for watching. A special thank you to these channel members, and we'll see you guys around.